This show's dedicated to Aria Serena Paris. Welcome to the world, little lady. Well, Ellis, my lovely co-host, all part of the same mix. And Louis and Archer, welcome, guys. We're at a 6-pointer stage, aren't we? It's a huge month ahead for us, Ellis. Huge month ahead. Starting with Danny Schofield's Doncaster Rovers today here, live at the county ground, 3 p.m. kickoff. Well, Town have got the edge at the moment, haven't we, over Doncaster Rovers? We're currently sat in 8th, and Doncaster are just 2 points behind in 11th. But what Swindon Town side can we expect to see today in Jody Morris's very first home game at the county ground? Are we going to see the Mansfield battering, Grimsby thrashing, Gillingham comebacking Barnstormers? Or are we going to see a Newport County shoot yourselves in the foot, desperate frustrators? Which we've seen more than enough of this season. Well, Doncaster fans, I've been speaking to plenty before today, and the Donny fans are telling me that it's much of a muchness for them also, meaning that today's game should make for an interesting and unpredictable viewing feast. Now, the bookies seem to have this down as a bolt-on draw, but essentially, Ellis, what it seems to be, everyone seems to be saying that we've got two teams that are facing almost identical hurdles. Big teams at this standard, big stadiums at this standard, some big name players scattered throughout the team. The ability to go out and make purchases, boxing way below the level that we should be boxing at, respectively. So it's either going to be an interesting spectacle or we're going to cancel each other out. What do you reckon is going to happen today, Ellis?
I think we're going to absolutely steamroll them 3-4-0.
Now we're talking.
I think Morris has been in the role, like 2-3 weeks now. I think he's had a foot in the door, and sort of enough time to implement some of his tactics. We're not going to see the finished, polished product, but I think we're going to see a much more improved side than what we did at Newport.
It needs to be, though, doesn't it? I mean, let's call it as it is. I mean, for probably 10 minutes on last Saturday, we were looking like that game's only going to go one way. It seemed like Rashawn Hepburn-Murphy had Newport on toast. It seemed structurally we looked really good. It didn't seem that we'd come out with the same level of sort of careless, reckless abandonment that a Gavin Gunning side would have, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It seemed like we were working to a measured plan, and then obviously, as per my intro, we shot ourselves in the foot. RHM has seen the red mist, reacted to a little bit of shenanigans from one or two of the Newport players, and it's a rather embarrassing walk from the halfway line all the way down the other end of the pitch to that rather bizarre players' tunnel. I mean, it really knocked the stuffing out of us, didn't it, that sending off last week? And it just seemed like we didn't recover. Yeah. Jody Morris, Ellis, in his presser, was saying that he's managed teams and been involved in teams that react very well to going down to 10 men. But he's also managed and been involved in teams that effectively fall to pieces. I don't think we quite fell to pieces, and there was a late rally. But as soon as that red card happened, I don't know, there was something in my head that went, well, we're going to do well to get a point away from home here.
Yeah. And sort of, especially a player like Murphy, he's a quick, explosive player. You take him off the pitch, you lose a lot of your attacking threat. Now, we're obviously going into today's game. He's obviously out on suspension. I think we're quite lucky where we've got quite a few options, in the striker position. That hopefully it doesn't affect us too much. But I think just sort of the way we lined up in the Newport game, we shot ourselves in the foot, and having Hepburn Murphy go off, sort of screwed us for the rest of the game.
I don't know how you feel, Arch, Louis. I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, there's been a very interesting kind of, I don't know whether I want to call it a partnership, but there's been some really nice link-up play between RHM and Charlie Austin. Yeah. And at League Two level, the general sort of sense is that if you look at both players' pedigree, that's enough to kind of put the frighteners up any team at this level. So to be in a position where you're just getting RHM back firing on all cylinders, which that in itself is a massive coup, let alone the Charlie Austin factor, the last thing he's going to want to have done is going to want to rule himself out for another 3 games. I mean, he must be very frustrated, but it is a big loss, isn't it, today?
Yeah, it is a quite big loss. Like even himself, he admits that like in the moment he shouldn't have done it. And obviously, I think both Austin and Hepburn Murphy are League One quality. Austin getting on, I can understand. Obviously, we know why he came back because started his career and all that. I think RHM, he's League One quality, but he's just got that injury proneness, hasn't he? He just picks up those injuries, which is restricted from him like actually reaching his potential. So I think at League Two level, if we can get him in like a 5-10 game thing, he could easily score like 4 or 5 goals during that time, even 6, 7.
And I think, Louis, I guess the point I'm kind of making is that he just started feeling that he was finding a bit of rhythm. Some of that link-up play, that stuff that only seems to really happen when you're match fit. You've got that match sharpness. Some of that explosive sort of, some of his explosive tendencies. There seemed to be there was a lovely control, a lovely fluidity about the way he's playing. He really needs a kind of 3-game suspension, like a hole in the head, doesn't he, at the moment?
I mean, really, like you look at the Gillingham game where he's assisted Charlie Austin with the header with a beautiful cross.
One of the best crosses I've seen at the county ground in recent times, I might add. And inch perfect, right?
Yeah, and also where he could have put his head if he'd squared the ball, but oh well, shame. He wants his goal.
Yep.
The thing is, he's put him into positions where realistically he could have contributed to two goals in a single game, and obviously that is a huge bonus. So he was really starting to get into form, and then he's managed to out for.
I've said it from the start. He's a player that he's been out for a long time. He needs games. He needs to get his match fitness back up and just dust off the ring rust, if you like. Like the more games, the better. And yeah, like you all said, getting a 3-game suspension is not ideal for him.
And this is the problem that you've got, obviously, in the absence of you've got development side fixtures, and I'm sure the club are going to work hard to try and provide a few of those to keep as much match sharpness and miles in his legs. But you cannot replicate the intensity of a Saturday afternoon, whether that be here at the county ground or a Tuesday night at Gander Green Lane. You can't replicate that, can you? So a real blow. And like at a time where physically, he's probably getting to a stage where he's starting to trust his body again. He just does not need that break. But look, let's park that for a little bit, because Ellis, we're a generous bunch here on the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge, aren't we? And we like to give stuff away. What have we got for these good people today, Ellis?
Well, what's the prize?
Well, the prize will be a limited edition Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge hoodie. Is what the prize will be today.
Wow, premium.
And you lucky listener, a Dan Designs print of your choosing in A4 format. And if it's a player, I will do my damnedest to get it signed for you, should you so wish. So what have we got for him, Ellis?
Right, so we've got
trivia teaser. Is that what
we've
got
got a trivia teaser. We've got 3 parts. Okay, so as soon as you think you know the answer, pop a DM or a comment on the live stream and
or speaker request and come on and join the show.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there idly. I see you, Jason, Adam, Luke, Josh, Nigel, Em, and Steve. I see you. Get involved.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
So the first part of the trivia teaser. Okay, get your fingers ready on the keyboard. I joined Swindon Town in the mid-noughties.
Oh, don't give them too much, will you?
No.
I joined Swindon Town. So we're talking about a Swindon Town signing in the mid-noughties. So, that's interesting. So I wonder whether for the avoidance of doubt, that will include the 2010s as well. I would say it's probably a fair thing to say.
There we go.
So the mid-noughties. All right. So who might that be? Who might that be? If you know, feel free to send us a tweet. Feel free to send us a DM. But get involved.
Next part. Yeah. So any guesses? Fire, like we said, send a little DM, even a speaker request. And you will win a prized Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge hoodie and a Dan Designs print.
Hey, there's not many of these things in circulation, Certainly there won't be many hand-signed Dan Designs prints in circulation. We can get the artist and the player concerned to sign it. That might even include the manager if you're particularly nice to us.
Wow.
But certainly the hoodies are a cherished garment, let me tell you.
They are.
And I'll be looking to get that sent to your fine property within the week. Now, look, let's just be clear about this, Ellis. You've got 2 of these hoodies, have you not?
I've got 2 limited edition ones.
Limited edition ones for Ellis El Diablo Holloway, which you obviously wear for your ring entrances and such like. So we don't mess around when we say that these are limited edition, ladies and gentlemen. So
there's only 2.
Yeah.
Two El Diablo in circulation.
So personalisation, potentially, we will make that an option for you as well, if you're lucky. But look, let's move things on a little bit. So we talked about RHM. We talked long and hard about that. The midweek show is still available, has been recorded. And Joe Tomlinson was a lot of fun on Wednesday night, wasn't he, Joe? So we had, for those of you that didn't tune in and are listening to us this afternoon, we had Joe Tomlinson with us on Wednesday night. And a few things that are probably relevant for us to revisit today in terms of the highlights from Joe's interview. We had confirmation that Joe's not going to be part of the match day action today, sadly. Because he's carrying an injury.
Yeah.
So, but he seemed to be of the impression he's going to be back before the month is out.
Promising.
Kind of need that, don't we?
Yeah.
Especially given sort of unforeseen injuries to players in wide areas such as Marcel Lavinier, Tyree Shade.
Yeah.
Things are looking a little bit flimsier in that area, aren't they? Reece Devine's continued missing as well. So
I did see Lavinier earlier walking away from the ground.
So he's been in this morning, he's done his gym, he's not going to be in the matchday squad then, clearly, which is a little bit of a shame. But from what we understand about Lavinier, although Joe didn't go into it, Lavinier's got some sort of tendon injury linked to his hamstring. That for a player that relies so much on his pace is a serious, that's a serious knock for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. So what else did JT tell us on Wednesday night? Well, quite a lot, as it would seem. He told us the story of his transfer deadline day move, which went along the lines of he was at the training ground at Plymouth at Peterborough until very late in the day. And it's looking like he was set to move to an unnamed League Two club. And he was he was in discussions, he was having a medical, he was with his agent, and the phone rang, and the likelihood of a chance of moving to Swindon Town come up. And according to Joe, as soon as that became a distinct possibility, there was no other place he wanted to be. And it was a question of then getting in his car, getting his foot down, and getting himself down the M4 to Swindon, where, of course, there was the glorious photo shoot of Joe, pitch black at the county ground, illuminated by the UV lighting on the pitch, and Joe signing on the dotted line, which was quite a moment. But I mean, obviously, he spoke brilliantly on the show. The show's still available, as always, guys. It's recorded and it's available in situ on all good podcast platforms, as well as in situ on our Twitter handle. So
go to. We are not a podcast.
No, people keep calling us a podcast. No, we're not a podcast.
We're not.
We're a Twitter space, and we don't mean to get prissy on your ass.
Even though we can be found on podcasts.
On podcast platforms.
It's a tricky one.
So therefore, does that not make us a podcast?
I don't know.
Does that not make us a podcast?
I think we can pick and choose.
I think we can. Yeah. So we can be media chameleons, can't we? Media chameleons, so we can. But anyway, so the good news is Joe's here. He's back. He was essentially, the news was a bit of an impact injury. Nothing that's going to kind of rule him out for the entirety of the season. Certainly not bad enough to prevent Swindon from making a deadline day move with a view to him being back before February's out. He was very clear with us about that, wasn't he? He's expecting him to be back in a Swindon Town shirt before the end of February.
Well, by the sounds of it, you know, he could even possibly be fit now, but he's being kept out as a precaution. But yeah, he's sort of adamant that he'll be in a Town shirt by end of Feb. So I don't doubt him, and the sooner the better, I say.
Well, all being well then, we may see him on the bench against Sutton. I think that'll probably come maybe a game too early, but I would certainly be expecting him to be back in time for the following Saturday. So watch this space. But anyway, let's give our listeners a little bit of an insight into Doncaster Rovers, shall we, Ellis? So interesting head-to-head record that we've got with Doncaster. We've played them 27 times in history. We've actually, it's quite rare this, when I go through lower league opposition, we've only won 6 of those clashes, drawn 10, and we've lost 11 of these clashes with Doncaster Rovers. We've since 2015 we've had the edge. So we've beaten them 3 times, we've drawn the once, and we've lost twice since 2015. So the kind of Mark Cooper era, things have improved. 17th September was the last time we played them, where Jake Wakeling's strike from Ben Gladwin's assist saw us triumph away from home. Nice 1-0 win and a Sol Bryn clean sheet. Now, the interesting thing about that result was 3 days later, Danny Schofield, who had only recently been sacked by Huddersfield, who ironically have just sacked their current manager, they'd sacked Schofield, who had been appointed with quite a lot of fanfare, having done a really good job as caretaker. So he's been appointed 3 days after we've turned them over at their place, replacing Gary McSheffrey, who's very well regarded up in Doncaster, but it would seem like playing reputation and sentiment doesn't go particularly well at the keep moat. So Danny Schofield's first 3 games in charge of Doncaster Rovers, he's won all 3, but they've had very, very different forms since. And the natives, it's fair to say, are restless. Consistency is a key word that seems to come up when you talk to Doncaster Rovers fans. So there's a brilliant quote that was given last night. So consistency, that will be, according to Doncaster Rovers fans, how their season is defined. Do they have the nerves of steel to fight till the end of the season, play for this manager, and give their fans a good finish? That is a comment which is pretty representative about how Doncaster Rovers feel. It's kind of similar to how Swindon fans are feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, I think certainly if we're going to want to get automatics, we're going to have to go on a massive run now. It's like starting today, we need to, just get a good run of wins behind us, not draws here. We need to be picking up 3 points where we can. I personally think we can. I think we'll sit quite comfortably in the playoffs. But yeah, we just need to get like Doncaster, consistency.
Louis, do you think that's a fair thing for us to? I mean, it's not. We're not berating our club here, are we? Like, we've had an awful lot of turmoil pre-season. Yeah. We've already had a managerial change during the season after Crawley's arguably pinched Scott Lindsay off of us. Whether you agree with that sentiment or not, he's no longer here. So you've got this kind of constant wind of change around the county ground. And here we are sitting today with a team. We mentioned right at the start of the introduction, like this team and this club face very similar challenges in many ways to us. But that word consistency is kind of critical, isn't it? We really, really don't know what kind of Swindon town we're going to see popping up today.
No, because we don't. Because at Newport, of course, we had those 15 minutes of like we were on top, and then of course we went down to 10 men. So it's like we didn't see the Jody Morris way, did we? He had to quickly adapt on his feet, basically, and I think he did quite well in that for a while. But I think today it's going to be like completely different, because if we can keep 11 men, hopefully we can see Morris ball, basically what his like aims are. But I think even then, I think it's going to take until the start of next season really for him to actually get his project through, because I think the players are still stuck in the Lindsay way, kind of. So he's going to have to take that. Like, he needs to get the players he wants in. He's going to have to get the backroom staff he wants in.
Hello, Rob Angus. How are we?
Hello, mate, you all right?
Not so bad. Do you want to join us, Rob?
Yeah, I'll join you for a
second. Yeah, come and join us for a sec. Chief Executive Officer Rob Angus. How are we, Rob?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
So, Rob, we're just talking about today. It's an interesting one. The visit of your Doncaster counterparts. I'm sure you're going to have lots of very similar conversations. That word consistency comes up quite a lot when we talk about Doncaster.
Yeah.
Only 2 points behind us in the table. They get 3 points today. They'll leapfrog us in the league.
Yeah.
They've had quite a lot of managerial change. We've had managerial change during the season. They probably didn't want that. I'm sure we didn't want that either. How do you feel the vibe's been this week? How things been adjusting with obviously Jody's first game? I'm sure he wasn't expecting to spend most of it with 10 men. But how do you feel things have been adjusting around the county ground? Jody's kind of, second full week.
Well, I think Jody's come in. I think it's a really positive appointment. I think he's got some really, really good pedigree. I think he's striving higher standards. I think he'll be demanding of the players and what he expects in training and on the pitch. So I think it's a really positive opportunity for us to sort of reset and drive forward for promotion.
He speaks brilliantly, Rob, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He speaks really well. He's played at the highest level. He's obviously coached at the highest level as well. I think he's a great appointment. But, I mean, it's early days, isn't it? Really, bless him. He's only had the one game. He's thrown into it a bit. We've not much time with the players, but I'm sure it'll be a great success for us.
But we rallied well, Rob. I think that was the thing from last week. like with the sending off, immediately my heart sank because I'm like, look, you're going to do well here. Like, you're away from home. You're down after 12 minutes. You're down to 10 men. You know, it's a tough place. They get on people. They get on the referees' backs down in Newport, don't they? It's vociferous. I was really impressed with the resilience that the lads showed and the battle that they showed, and particularly in the last 10 minutes. Tommy Adeloy, great to see him on the score sheet. So I think that's a really encouraging sign. But today we're talking about, I mean, I guess, would there be a message if there's any lingering fans, if there's any fans at home lingering as to whether or not they're going to come down and pack the county ground out today, what would you be saying to them?
Get down here, get to the county ground. Get your mates, get your family, come on down, get behind Jody and the team.
Get the postman,
get
them all down
get the
here.
atmosphere down here and cheer the boys on for another 3 points.
And another huge week away from the pitch, Rob, the county ground purchase. Congratulations. Like, what a moment to have got us to. Like, the exchange, essentially, exchange of contracts.
Yeah.
And we're all looking rosy for, we think, end of this month, start of March, or is it end of March?
End of March, we're looking for completion. But no, look, it's something that a number of us have been working on for a number of years. Obviously, I worked on it on the trust side from around about 2016. You know, Steve Mighton, Mike Welsh, Neil Hutchinson, the trust, Shipwood, a number of people have been on it. We've had some great legal support from the likes of James Mayton from Coolies, and also Greg Carlisle at Boys with Your King, local lads, and some great work. And it's amazing that the Nigel Eady trustees, and it's an amazing legacy for Nigel, you know, our real sort of super fan, to have finally got there and got the exchange and completion only a month or so away. So it's massive for the football club. Owning their own ground, supporters and club having to work together, for generations to come. It's going to be a huge fillet for the future.
I think the thing that really interests me, Rob, is that having not met Nigel Eady, but been very well aware of what Nigel Eady and what the whole sort of setup of his estate was, and the intention of providing the funds from that estate to the football club. I don't think Nigel himself, from what I understand, would have ever envisaged that his funds would have gone to actually securing the stadium itself. All the conversation seemed to be, when I first learned about the Nigel Eady estate being willing to make this enormous gesture to our football club, it seemed like everyone was like, oh, that will be for youth development, or that will be for something else on Foundation Park, but to actually secure the stadium with it, it's fair to say he'll be up there looking down with a big smile on his face, I should imagine.
I would really, really hope so. And look, the trustees of the Nigel Eady estate, so John Carter was really good friends with Nigel, his son Rob Carter, Gary Herbert and Jez Webb have done a great job. I think it's great for John and Gary and Rob, who knew Nigel well, to and Jez, all of them really, just to see this legacy sort of come through. They have funded as well some of the developments at Foundation Park, so he's done his bit for sort of youth football in Swindon, as well as securing the county grounds for the club and supporters for generations to come. So it's a massive legacy, and when you own your own ground, it opens up the opportunity for development. It will save money for the club in rent. It will help ensure that we can keep the ground maintained in a better way. So it provides lots of benefits that can only be great for the future of the football club.
And from there, of course, once you've got, I mean, the thing is, Rob, you and I are of a similar age. We've breathed a lot of the same air, like at games here. Like we've had a similar. If you think about the physicality of the county ground estate, I mean, over the last 10 years, the number of changes, it's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, Foundation Park really has become almost like a bit. The county ground will always be the centrepiece, but Foundation Park is a beautiful development in itself. You've got the dome going up as well. You've got, the county ground as the county ground itself continues to be polished and redeveloped. I can only imagine if you're a prospective player or indeed investor in this football club, just the visual kind of sort of representation of what Swindon Town means now, you can only expect that to get better. And yet, like I said, over the last 10 years, it's become dramatically better, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you come here now, and it's becoming a sporting hub, which is great. Obviously, having the cricket ground as well there. I think it, and as and when we do the developments and upgrade things, and we've got a fair bit of land to work with. And, the real big plus here is those developments will drive revenue for the football club 365 days a year, which is so important if you're going to be competitive and take the club up the leagues, because it means you can start driving revenue to be invested in the football club outside of just the 25 days or so a year that you have match days. And that's so important for football clubs, because at the end of the day, we're a business that compete in a very competitive industry, and the more that we can generate revenue off of a match day as well as on a match day, the better that'll be for the football club, because under Clem's ownership, all that money will get reinvested back into make us grow, make us bigger, and take us up the leagues.
Well, was that as it was seen as West Ham have just taken the lead? Hopefully, Town will be taking the lead later, Rob. But what that wonderful word promotion? It's on the tip of everyone's tongue. Where does that sit in terms of your ambitions between now and the end of the season? I mean, imagine it's front and centre, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, that's why we've gone, and obviously we've got Charlie. That's why we've got the appointment of Jody. We want to take the club forward and get promotion. Now, it's easier said than done, as we know. This is a competitive league. Every team's sort of out there and fighting for it. But we're in the mix. Just got to drive it forward, and promotion's very much the aim.
And how delighted have you been with the impact of Charlie Austin back at our football club? It's been a few weeks now. What's it been like having him in and around the club? Because the reason I ask is, of course, there were some murmurings that, could he be a disruptive force? But yet, here we are, seeing Charlie consistently wearing the captain's armband. So what's it been like having him back around the club? Speaking as both as a long-standing fan, Rob, but also as the CEO.
It's a long-standing fan. It's fantastic to see Charlie back at the club. That's just sort of boys' own stuff as well. The goal he scored on his return, and the couple obviously got here at the last sort of home game.
Classic Charlie Austin goals as well.
Absolutely, it's been fantastic to see him back around the place.
How emotional, Rob? How emotional was that for you, by the way, when he scored his first goal?
Yeah, it was very emotional, and
there were tears in the town, mate. So I'm sure you were along similar lines.
Clem was jumping for joy as well, which was really great to see. And look, for me around the place, it's been great. It's been really positive. Support of the young players. I think he's sort of again helping alongside Jody drive up standards and stuff like that, but in a positive way. So I think he's been great for us off the pitch and on the pitch as well. And I just think it's a real coup that he's come back to Swindon Town. I'm sure he could still be playing at a higher level. Hopefully soon he'll be playing at a higher level with us.
And a closing gambit for you, Rob, because we appreciate it's a busy one for you on a match day. Another returning face this week. Obviously, he was on the show with us on Wednesday night. How good was it to see Joe Tomlinson back in a shirt, well, at least a training shirt at the moment, with a Swindon Town badge on his chest?
It was great to see Joe back, and a big smile on his face as well when he did come back in the building. It was lovely to see, and equally talking to Joe, dream for him in terms of hopefully soon feeding Charlie with crosses that Charlie will put in the back of the net.
Well, look, Rob, cheers for coming and joining us, and thank you for helping us strike the balance between the spreadsheet signings and obviously getting those signings that have got a little bit more sentimental value at the county ground. We really appreciate your time. Best of luck between now and obviously the completion of the county ground purchase. I'm sure if there are any questions that we've missed that have been coming in while we've been talking to you, I'll get them all collated and I'll get them over to you. And hopefully, if you're happy to answer those, we'll do that offline. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's absolutely, mate.
Super stuff, Rob.
See you, fellas.
Take care, mate. Thanks for joining us.
If you're listening, come on down to the county ground and get behind the boys.
Yeah, let's do that. So you've heard it from the Chief Executive Officer himself, ladies and gents. If you're sat on your sofa and, listen, I know quite a lot of you lot that listen. The whole reason why we've become a little bit popular with certain people on match days is because we have a lot of out-of-town support. But if you are umming and ahhing and you've got 20 quid burning a hole in your wallet and you're umming and ahhing about coming down and watching Jody's first game, there's a lovely buzz around the county ground today. It was an interesting one because Newport on Saturday, the general feel was there was a little bit of apathy, around the place. Whereas against Gillingham, there seemed to be when we were 3-1 down, there was that kind of collective 12-man sentiment in the stands. Right, we're going to roar the boys on.
Yeah.
We went down to 10 men last week, and it seemed to be the feeling that I've had from people that were at the game was that was kind of lacking last week. Yeah. Nobody could quite put their finger on why.
Yeah, 100%. I at no point in the Gillingham game did I think, right, we're losing this game. We could have gone 3-0 down, and I personally would have backed us to come back and get a draw or win, which obviously we did do. But yeah, in the Newport game, we went 10 men, then 1-0 down. It just, the whole vibe. I mean, I watched it on iFollow, and just from that, the whole vibe just seems so much different than the Gillingham game, like you said, Hannah's.
Do you know what I'm hoping it is? I mean, Louis, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'll tell you what I'm hoping it is. I mean, there are a lot of people that went very early, shall we say, in terms of putting stuff down their throat before the game. I'm wondering whether it was an early kick-off, it was like, obviously, it was a big rush to get there. That the ebb and flow of your match day experience, you're not getting there at 3 o'clock. You're kind of probably physiologically feeling a little bit different. The boys are coming out on the pitch. I don't know. It's a little bit like you're a little bit half baked, or fully cooked, depending on, or overcooked, depending on which side of the bar you were stood. But I think today you're hoping we'll get at least 10,000 Wiltshire folk in the stands.
Yeah.
You'll have Jody come out and obviously applaud the home fans, get them revving up. I'm sure Charlie's going to be fired up. There's quite a lot to be optimistic about, isn't there, today? So I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're at home and you're umming and ahhing about getting off your arse and getting down here, you've just heard from the chief exec. I'm starting to get to appreciate the things that aren't as ideal as we would like on pitch at the moment. But off the pitch, have we ever had it so good? In all seriousness, we've got a as the Guinness turns up in a plastic cup, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, more to the point, dear listener, we've got an owner that seems to have been servicing an enormous amount of debt, so reduced about £7 million worth of debt right down. We've got the joint purchase of a county ground, which has been largely funded by people that are dyed-in-the-wool Swindon fans. I mean, Rob Angus has just name-checked all of the Nigel Eady trustees. They're all names that are going to be familiar, the likes of Jez Webb, the likes of Gary Herbert. These are all people that have got long, rich, illustrious histories, both as administrators behind the scenes at the football club, sponsors of the football club, football administrators per se, particularly in the case of someone like a Jez Webb, both in terms of the football club that we're sat at now, but also like the local non-league football scene as well. So we've got that purchase, which is all due to complete. We've got a former Premier League, highly decorated Premier League midfielder that has got probably the most enviable black book, arguably, of any former Swindon Town manager, with perhaps the exception of Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah.
And you're kind of going, we can't afford to be apathetic, can we? Against that kind of backdrop, what's wrong with us?
I know.
What's wrong with us? So what I'm saying is, give your head a wobble if you're sat at home and you're umming and ahhing. I'm not gonna give it Charlie big bananas, but I've dragged my sorry ass around from Kent today. If you're within a 5-mile radius of the county ground, come on down, and I'll even buy you a beer. Come and say hello, and I'll even buy you a beer. How about that? Come and present yourself to us at the table, and let's get you involved. But look, just before Rob came over, we were sort of midway through a little bit of a preview on Doncaster Rovers. So we said about consistency was where we got up to, but. So it's interesting because 2 of Doncaster's last 3 games have been defeats. So they've gone down to Mansfield, no disgrace there.
Yeah.
But they've also gone down to Hartlepool. If you would like to think if we had Hartlepool twice a season, we'd be looking to pick up 6 points, wouldn't you? But a little bit of a topsy-turvy league. But they're coming to the county ground off the back of a 2-0 win and a clean sheet against mid-table Tranmere. So Tranmere really are no mugs. Talking to their supporters, they're likely to go with a 3-4-3. And their front 3, they're expecting to be Kyle Hurst, Cohen Lavery, and George Miller. Journeyman, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
They're not. Well, maybe with the exception of Hurst, who's come up through the ranks of Barnsley. He's a younger lad, but I mean certainly in the case of Lavery, they've pitched him off of Crisis Club Scunthorpe. Lavery's not necessarily the kind of striker that's going to thump fear through the hearts of any sort of League 2 supporter. But nonetheless, that is where their threat's coming from. So if we take a look at their key stats, so George Miller, who I'm told has got a bit of a 50p foot, he's not got the most silken touch. He should play the number 9 role, I believe. And Miller's got 9 goals, 4 assists in 24 games. So a goal every 0.34 minutes. 0.34 goals per 90 minutes. So 49 shots though. So he likes to get his shots off. He is by far and away their leading shot taker, but his conversion rate is pretty poor, only 18% conversion rate.
Yeah.
And his shot accuracy in terms of hitting the target of his 49 shots, he's only hit the target 49% of the time. So again, not stats that are going to be like quaking. You're not going to be quaking in your boots, Ellis, are you?
No. Let's be honest. He's no Charlie Austin. no Johnny Williams. You know, I know he's not playing. No Hepburn Murphy. If you're Swindon, you're looking at that side and you're not shitting yourself, are you?
No.
It's just another day in the office.
I'll tell you what else they lack as well. So Hurst, Lavery and Miller, all themselves are under 6 foot. So they're all around the 5'10", 5'11" mark. So they're going to be players that are going to want the ball in the feet. But yet, strangely, for slightly smaller players, they're not known for having amazing touches either. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they do play the 3-4-3 for a start. It's a very ballsy formation to be playing away from home.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see whether they actually start with that kind of regimented flat three, like a bank of 3, bank of 4, bank of 3.
Yeah.
So we keep an eye on that. Going back to Kyle Hurst, though. So recent signing from Barnsley, 29 games, no assists, but 6 goals. So again, his conversion rate, so he's got a better goal conversion rate per game than George Miller at 27%. And he's got only marginally higher, but he's got a 50% shot accuracy. So of his 22 shots, 11 of them have hit the target. When you go beyond those boys, you really then start kind of feeling like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of trying to understand where their attacking threat lies.
Yeah.
They conceded, so they've got almost like a polar opposite goal difference situation to us as well. So we've got a +7 goal difference. They've got a -7 goal difference.
Yeah.
This, I can't help but think, Ellis, if you look at the league table, you'd be well within your rights to look and go, Donny, inconsistency. You know, it's a little bit. This has got, Swindon, inconsistency. This has got a draw written all over it. However, dig a little deeper into the statistics, you can kind of see why we're probably leaning heavily towards a Swindon win. I mean, I've gone quite big on this. I've gone for a big fat 4-0. And you said you're feeling quite confident as well.
I am. Yeah, 3-0, also 4-0. I just feel we're due a big win again.
Well, let's hope you're right. So joining us at the head of the table, BBC Radio Wiltshire's Andrew Hawes. Andrew, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're very good. We're very good.
You're well stocked with Guinness.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in a plastic cup, which is the only downside. So, Andrew, where we've just got up to, we were just saying that if you start to dissect the stats a little bit, if you look at the league table alone, you think there's not a lot between ourselves and Doncaster. We've just spoken to Rob Angus. We were talking about inconsistency, and that being a kind of a buzzword for both of our clubs this season. However, when you start digging into their player stats a little bit more, they don't seem to pose an awful threat. Now, equally, ironically, we're sat here with Johnny Williams being our top scorer, but then we've also got the emerging goal threat of Charlie Austin. So it's a little bit. I think it's lies, damn lies, and statistics, but I don't really think it's another one of those classic examples where I'm sat here on a Saturday and I'm not quaking in my boots. And I'm not sat here. There seems to be this feeling, I don't know whether it's apathy, but there seems to be this feeling, well, this has got a draw written all over it. Where's your head at?
I didn't think Doncaster were particularly good out there. And they've changed managers since then. They were just a bit kind of sort of bland, I suppose. They had Lee Tomlinson virtually last game before he retired, where he looked talented but not very mobile, which they don't have now. As you said, they've not. Here we are tempting fate. They've not particularly got out-and-out goal-scoring threats. George Miller, the top scorer and striker, who can be quite handy on a barren run. Kevin Hurst has done all right, but yeah, they seem to. I don't know. It almost feels like they're sort of deservingly inconsistent. Their squad's all right. The manager might be all right. We don't really know. It's quite. It's quite difficult to get very sort of into it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to swallow my coffee.
No. You enjoy that coffee. You enjoy that coffee. So it's a bit of a funny one because, like I said, on the surface of things, you look at our squad, you look at their squad, you look at our squad stats, you look at their squad stats. There's a lot of similarities, but if you take that little step back and you look at the emerging threat and impact of a Charlie Austin, it's a shame we're missing Rashawn Hepburn Murphy because that as a partnership seemed to really be starting to blossom. We'll go back and have a little chat about that, Andrew, because one of those frustrating situations, wasn't it, last week, where when you get sending off that early in a game, it's sort of like, here we go. If you travel a long way, you've sunk a lot of money into it. It's a little bit like, there was a lot of vitriol aimed at Rashawn, wasn't there, over the last week or so?
Yeah, sadly, kind of inevitable. I think he did put up the photo we've all seen of the studs and stuff, and I think he got trodden on, but unfortunately he did put his arms out. And when I was sort of the right side to see it compared to the TV cameras, when you kind of when I saw the flash of it in real time, it felt like his hands were up near the guy's throat, so near enough to force the referee to make a decision. You know, we can all be wise after the event and say, you know, he shouldn't do it, he knows he shouldn't do it, but it's physical. You know, it's physical sport. People are kicking lumps out of each other. Sometimes they get wound up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's an emotional sport. Yeah. Yes, we're all professionals, but the other thing is as well.
He's got, you know, we can all sit and watch this game. He's got like 2 more matches after this to. You know, he's got the whole of next week to sit and dwell on it as well while the team are playing at Sutton and Salford. So.
And of course, the thing is about RHM, he's 24, but you can basically knock 2 years of that off of his age, can't you? We are talking about a lad that, in terms of miles in the tank, he's probably played at the same level of football as your average, say, 20, 21-year-old, it would be fair to say. Certainly if you talk about senior British football, he's not played an awful lot of games, so...
I'm not going to have an argument with someone else about the Cypriot League. It's not as bad as everyone thinks. She's one of my great obscure badges.
So where's your head at today, Andrew? It's been obviously an interesting week. We've just spoken to, you've been involved in numerous press conferences this week. We've just spoken to the chief exec. He's positively buzzing about the nearing completion of the county ground purchase, which is obviously a massive boost for us. And the thing that really struck me, Andrew, coming into the county ground today is, I said to Rob about, you glance around the county ground estate, and it's really starting to feel like things are starting to happen now at this club. I don't know whether I'm just getting overexcited at the sight of the new dome springing up over the back of Foundation Park, but it wasn't that long ago. There wasn't a Foundation Park.
Yeah, no, and it seems whatever kind of day or night I wander past there, there's always something going on there, isn't there? There's always, whether people have hired it out to play there, or training, or women's team, something. It seems to be perpetually in action. So,
and of course, with activity around a football club, that means that the till's ringing as well. So that means that the club's making money at a time where we've not got tickets going through the turnstiles. So that's obviously that's fantastic news. But I think the thing that's really, I mean, Andrew, you see a lot of players very shortly after they sign for the club, and I'm sure you have conversations. I'm not going to get you to mention names, but you have conversations with people off the mic as well. The county ground, it feels like it's not going to be that long before players are going to be coming to the county ground and finding their jaws really dropping. And I'm not talking about players that, you know, are saying, well, this is a big club for League Two. I'm talking about players that are maybe coming to sign for Swindon Town and going, wow, this is a proper football club with proper facilities. You know, this is I think Rob used the term, this is a sporting hub. You know, that's the only, there's not a huge, I tell you a club that it's starting to remind me of a little bit. When you go to Ipswich Town and you walk into Ipswich's stadium from the station and you see the Astro outside.
One of my favourite places to go as well.
A wonderful place to play.
Statues out. There's the Bobby Robson statue outside.
It's starting to feel a little bit It's starting to feel a bit like that. The county ground. It's starting, and it hasn't felt like that for a very long time. So
no, it's certainly like, well, I mean, the COVID season's a bit different, but even before that, it's kind of it's in need of a bit of a love. It's in need of a bit of love and a bit of, you know, care. I think the fact, you know, I can't remember the last time it got painted or glamorized, you know, so it's kind of overdue. But yeah, it's kind of right about the hub of activity out there.
It starts and it look. I mean, it just looks. I'm going to say something that sounds so bloody glib, but it just looks very football. It looks very it looks very new and very football, for want of a better word. Yes. It doesn't look like, one of my biggest criticisms of when I was a young fan coming to the county ground, you would glance over at that area of space and it was like, that's a cricket club. There's a cricket club over there and a big bit of wasteland. And look, I can see a supermarket. Now you're kind of starting to get a feel that we're kind of a bit of a club on the march. I think the other thing that really strikes me as well, Andrew, is a lot of the people that are making decisions around our club at the moment, whether that be Nigel Eady trustees or whether that be people like Rob Angus involved in the club. There's a lot of Swindon Town people making Swindon Town decisions. Now, I appreciate our owners from Australia, but if you get my meaning, there is an increasing. It feels like an increasing level of red.
People who ultimately you feel at least have the club first, even
Thank
if
you.
they're not sort of hated.
That's what I'm trying to say. So, here we are today then. Donny Rovers, what would you be feeling? Where's your head at then, Andrew? If we go back to Donny and we start thinking about all things performance and on the pitch, but clearly we've got injury problems today. How can you see? What's your gut feeling as how you think we're going to line up?
That's good. I can't see. I'm not sure it's likely to change too much from Newport, I think.
Have you had any further whispers about FBT's been struggling with the virus? Has there been any whispers?
No, because we do our sort of pre-match stuff on Thursday. He did say they'd not been well then, so they were hoping to get back in tomorrow, but we don't.
So fingers crossed.
That has been kept on wraps. But yeah, I didn't think he'll change too much. He's got to try and bed in a bit of what he wants in his sort of system first. So
it's a real shame that we're missing. It looks like again we're missing. I mean, we've already seen Marcel Lavinier leaving the ground today. Tyree Shade, it's going to be unlikely. It was the general word that we think he's going to make the matchday squad as well, which is a shame. Another player who's just starting to emerge, starting to look like a threat coming off the bench. But potentially Tom Clayton returning and could potentially be in contention for a starting berth. That's a big return for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big return, Ellis. I mean, one of the real breakout stars of the season so far, and picks up a really unfortunate injury at an unfortunate time. It'd be great to see him back in the starting lineup.
100%. He's got massive impact on the squad in sort of how we play.
Carrying the ball out the back.
100%.
Calm head, mature head on very young shoulders there, Andrew.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think he slotted in pretty seamlessly at Newport. I thought, having not played for so long, didn't seem bothered when they changed it from the 4 to the 5. Looked just as comfortable in that sense.
It sort of allowed us
pretty unflappable.
Yeah, sort of when he come on, it allowed Blake Tracy to sort of have a bit more like free roaming and push on and have a bit of independence.
And a great relationship with obviously another new signing in Jay Kane. How impressed have you been with Kane?
I think you can kind of see the quality he's got with his foot in particular. That's pretty evident. That was his big sort of attribute. I'm waiting to see how effective that is in sort of damaging teams so far. We've seen him hit a lot of kind of sort of quite flamboyant sort of diagonal balls. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can get him a bit closer to the penalty box, really start putting in some crosses on that left foot, or playing some sort of passes that are perhaps a bit more hurtful rather than spreading play.
Yeah, he's not. I don't want to use the word pedestrian because I really don't mean that as such, but he's not a Louis Reed that just sits, is he? I mean, this really is a player that likes to get around the pitch. I mean, he's very, very mobile, very aggressive in his outlook. Very exciting signing.
He was our sort of interviewee on Thursday. He talking about how he seems to really quite enjoy that kind of pressing part of the game. That's having been sort of clocked to death, I would imagine, to make sure you press.
Yeah.
I think he certainly wants to sort of do that. And that's the big sort of thing. That's one of the big things that Jody Morris kind of hints at. It's like the players aren't quite ready to press at the intensity I need. Not because they're lazy or not because they're pre-season relaxed, but I think they've been sort of playing in a different way, not pressing as much as he thinks. So he's got to kind of get them up to speed on when to press and I guess how to use their sort of energy reserves. So I think that's a sort of fairly kind of underlying consistent point that the players are giving all they can, but they can't quite do what I need them to do.
So that was almost like leads me into my next question, really, Andrew. Jody makes a very interesting point about wanting to kind of not take away from the players at the moment, but wanting to introduce certain things into the mix at the moment. What exactly do you think he was getting at?
I think some of that will be sort of his kind of preferred patterns. I think you saw quite a lot of, even with 10v11 at Newport, they weren't particularly frightened when Newport tried to sort of pin them in the sort of left back area. You'd have Ellis and Fraser, and they were trying to sort of triangle their way out and get their way out. So I think he wants to sort of get that kind of understanding, that sort of passing and movement and the pressing. So I think those are so I think the first thing is that the players sort of get into the patterns or understand the patterns that he wants, and then it's probably introducing or trying to get them that bit higher up the pitch, and then they can start winning the ball back in more dangerous places.
Possession with purpose, I think, is what he threw around. So, okay, bit of a. I don't know, Andrew. It's getting. Jody Morris's appointment seems to have created this big spike of interest very, very early. Yeah. But I was kind of a little bit surprised at how flat things seem to fall from Newport. I don't think that was necessarily all about the red card. Did you get any sense of apathy on Saturday? And if so, you got any idea where you feel it may have come from?
No, I didn't quite know what it was in terms of. We brought a large following, but it didn't quite. The sort of kind of noise and energy from the away following didn't quite match the numbers, did it? I don't think. And why that is a question. I'm not sure if it's sending off. I'm not sure if it's the fact that Newport kind of got on top of it a little bit to start with. And to be fair, when you go there, because we're sort of we're in the stand sort of left if you're behind the goal, and they make a heck of a racket in there. You've got that low roof, all the noise bouncing around. And in terms of home fans, I do think they're one of the best in the division because regardless of how well or badly they're doing, they're leery, but they're on the right side of leery. They're noisy. They'll shout like hell if they can get Hepburn Murphy sent off. So when there's a bit of that in there as well.
I've got to tell you as well, Andrew, on that. By the way, hats off to Newport because it did feel like every possible decision where you may have been asking a referee to make a marginal call. Like the Newport fans made it very, very, very clear. They put a lot of pressure on the ref, didn't they? Yeah. A lot of pressure. Do you think if the same incident had happened, we'll go back to Hepburn Murphy. Do you think if the same incident had happened at the county ground, you would have seen a flash of red, or do you feel that was influenced by the way Newport fans are?
I'm sure the fans. Cameron Norman's reaction helped. I think you'd still end up with the same decision. I'm sure people around the sort of dugouts who'd seen it clearly would have been off their seats and game
on. So here we are then. Let's get you to put your money where your mouth is. I know you don't like giving us a prediction, Andrew. I know you hate to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yes. How are you feeling? What's your gut feel?
I can see a sort of 2-1 win being slightly edged out. I think there's enough. I think there's enough in this one. Like I said, I'm not. Even though they're so close to us at the table, I'm not entirely convinced by Doncaster. Both when you look at their form and just from what we saw of them in the reverse game, where they'll be a bit more dynamic under new manager or not. But I'd like to think there's enough to win it, even with a few players.
And obviously, returning stars, one of which isn't fit for today, Joe Tomlinson, sadly. Very much enjoyed him being with us on the show on Wednesday, which is still available to listen to in situ on Twitter.
Very high on that nicest man in football shortlist.
Yeah. Very, very high. Isn't he just? Yeah, isn't he just? What a terrific guy. But expecting Charlie Austin to be amongst the goals today?
Yeah, I think so, especially at home, hopefully, where we dictate a bit more. We keep 11 on the pitch. If we feed the Austin, we'll score.
He's not, beyond his signing, Andrew, my closing gambit to you would be this. Beyond his signing, he's actually not done a lot of media, has he? He's not been involved in many of the press conferences.
No,
were you surprised to see him wearing the captain's armband as quickly as he has been?
Yeah, I think so. I think so a little bit. But on the other hand, from when we sort of did that initial flurry of, asking him how he'd been, for whichever manager it was, they all said attitude is good. All the young, all the sort of younger players in the squad were saying he's been great. He's had to help us. Can't help but learn from him. So I think if you'd sort of said just coming in cold, he'll be captain straight away, I would have been surprised. The fact that he has sort of taken on that senior role and apparently done it well, and then of course you've got the whole slightly weird Angus McDonald thing, which we're still not entirely quite sure why happened. So when you put those together, perhaps it does work. There's not a massive amount of senior pros there, so I'm sure it messes with them pretty easy. I can't imagine it stresses them out.
I think the thing that's really impressing me with Charlie, obviously we have an awful lot of contact with the first team players, and of course they're gonna say the right things to the media, but there's a certain sincerity and a twinkle in their eye when you're speaking to all members of the squad, whether they're senior players, junior players. They're all really enjoying having Charlie around the place, which, as somebody that kind of followed the arrival of Charlie at very, very close proximity, I think it's a real joy to see. And I think if you were Charlie, you would like to think that you're proving a nice point about what it is you bring to the football club.
I think the good thing is if we've asked players about them. Obviously, everyone says everyone's settling in fine, all that. They're quite happy to say that how they're learning from it. They'll give you an example, like he'll show us his movement on the training ground, or I've been able to have a chat with him about this. So I think when you sort of hear that, you feel much more reassured that it's not just sort of party line, it is actually happening.
Well, Andrew, look, you're 30 minutes from adopting your position up in the gantry. Who have you got with you today?
We have Anthony Grant, which is
Anthony Grant's with us today.
And always slightly chaotic.
Outstanding. So the general is in the building.
I'm stealing myself whatever he brings. But we get it.
Oh, wonderful news. Well, you've heard it here first from Andrew himself. The general is back in the building. So, bit of it, actually, it wouldn't be... in many ways, it's a shame that whilst it's always nice to see Anthony back at Swindon Town, you kind of want to... You'd like to think that Anthony's still got a bit of mileage in the tank, wouldn't you?
No, I think when I was chatting to him, I don't know how much I think there are some National League clubs who are interested. I don't know how he feels about that, whether he thinks he's still got one last stint in the Football League. Because you'd hate for his career really to end as it did at Scotland.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? The old sentimentalist in me, Andrew. Hat-trick of returning heroes, Andrew, maybe? Hat-trick of returning heroes? We'll maybe be coming up and badgering you in the press box later to see if we can push him over the line. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Pleasure.
Best of luck for today.
Thank you very much.
And dear listeners, tune in to Andrew in 30 minutes. We're not far from wrapping up our coverage for the day, but always great value, Andrew, isn't he? Always great value. He's a silky-tongued devil. is the best way to put it. What I love talking to Andrew about is obviously he's a dyed-in-the-wall Swindon Town supporter. The great thing about local radio is that they can be sort of like totally partisan in their coverage, and Andrew doesn't shy away from that whatsoever. Some of his, I'm pleased I can say this now, he's gone. I wouldn't want his head getting too big. I'm sure he'll listen back to the recorded show. Andrew is now developing quite the back catalogue in amazing commentary soundbites. Yeah. Do you have a personal favourite, Ellis, that you can think of an Andrew piece of commentary?
What was it after the Austin goal when he returned?
Oh yeah, the crosses, and there's Austin coming in. Yeah, and he went absolutely bananas, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely bananas. I say it's an interesting one for us to talk about. I don't know whether you noticed it. Obviously, the listeners won't because they weren't here. But when we start talking to Rob Angus about the more emotive sort of elements, posing the more emotive questions in relation to Swindon Town, do you notice Rob went a wonderful red colour and had a certain has a little twinkle in his eye? Yeah, it's consistent, that, isn't it, with Rob? Yeah, like consistent, and you get it's similar with Andrew. We start talking about those moments that make your and my hair stand up on the back of our neck. And I said about increasingly you've got people like that around our football club that we're bumping into. Yeah, that are becoming more and more involved in the football club. Michael Doughty announcing that he's coming back last week and he's our new sustainability officer. I've spoken to Michael. The Sir Tom Broadbent is going to be doing loads with Michael moving forward. I'm delighted to say, dear listener, I spoke to Michael in the week, and that similar glint in his eye. You're starting to see people back involved in our football club that have got loads of get up and go. Have got that got the football club in their heart. They've got that little twinkle in their eye. You can't replicate that the colour of Rob's face and that little twinkle in his eye. You cannot, like when you're asking about, the question was to Rob, tell us about how you felt when Charlie Austin hit the back of the net. And immediately his face lit up. Yeah. And he was like, oh, well, and you and I will recall, Ellis, the tears in the town end, from grown men that day. Yeah. Like it's really something quite special, isn't it, at the moment? Really something quite special. 100%, yeah. And I say Andrew's commentary absolutely reflects that. For me, I think I particularly enjoyed the Dion Conroy goal at the town end last year against John Sheridan's Oldham. That was a particular favourite. The Richie Mellons era, Owen Doyle scores. Of course, Owen Doyle scores. As night follows day, as grass is green. That was another beautiful moment. Classic Andrew Hawes. And fingers crossed we're going to have another couple of nuggets of commentary today. But look, let's just duck back into our.
Should we do the next part of the trivia teaser?
I think you should, Ellis. Yeah. Because we didn't have any guesses, did we?
No, we didn't. So
and you kept it delightfully vague.
Yeah, we'll have a recap on the first one. which was I joined Swindon Town in the mid-noughties. So that was your first part of the trivia teaser.
But we did top that up a little bit and say some people don't include the 2010s
Yeah.
with the noughties, but we're going to include that as well.
Could that be a clue?
It could be a clue. We're going to just give you a little top up on that.
So the second part of the trivia teaser.
If you don't get it off the back of this, dear listener, go and give your head a wobble. What we got for him?
Rice or tortillas, the perfect how do you say that?
A perfect accompaniment.
There we go.
So rice or tortillas, the perfect accompaniment.
And to win limited edition, the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge hoodie and a Dan Designs print, possibly signed as well.
Yeah, what we're going to try and do, we will, if there is a particular player that you would like, let us know who it is if you do win the print, and we'll do our damnedest to get that signed for you, if you so wish. Optional. So we'll get the artist to sign it as well. We'll get Dan to sign it and make it super limited edition. But we will also get the player, should you so wish, on that print. So trivia teaser one was, I joined the club in the we're not going to lie, it's the mid-2010s. All right, we'll make it easy for you. We'll narrow it down. The mid-2010s, this player signed for the football club, and rice or tortillas is the perfect accompaniment. Send in your guesses via tweet or DM, or you can send them in via a speaker request if you want to come on and speak on the show. We're getting a few notifications coming in, so we're going to keep half an eye on some of these. Some people are sending them into my personal account, some people are sending them into the show's account. Let's see what we've got so far. Right. No, I'm afraid no. Nothing that nails the answer as of yet. Should we give them the third clue, Sid?
Well.
Do you want to give them the third clue? We were going to wait a little bit, but let's drop it on them, Ellis.
I made 130 appearances as both a loan and a permanent sign-in, and you need a lot of change bags to manage my fines.
Oh, for goodness sake! Oh, we're giving it away. We're giving it. Ellis, tell me what tastes good with rice or tortillas? What might taste good? Would we say possibly chili might taste nice?
Yeah.
Chili might taste nice with rice or tortillas. Oh my God, we're literally giving it away.
For a hoodie.
The guy has made 130 appearances. He played for both loan and a permanent signing for Swindon Town.
I'm surprised Barry Holloway hasn't had a guess yet.
I'm surprised Barry Holloway hasn't. And you need plenty of change bags to manage his fines. A little tip of the nod to a particular incident that, where I think it's fair to say the manager at the time didn't quite get the joke.
No.
Didn't quite enjoy that joke, did he? And I'm pretty sure the local Barclays wouldn't have enjoyed that joke either when he was taking the money out. But anyway, listen, while you lot are chewing over that, again, if you would like to enter for your chance to win a limited edition hoodie, this player signed in the mid-2010s, made 130 appearances, got fined in a rather daft manner, and in terms of the way that he settled his fine, and rice and tortillas are the perfect accompaniment. It's not that bloody hard.
We've had much harder ones.
We've had harder ones than that. Well, look, let's go back to where we were, Ellis, in relation to the show. So, obviously, we were talking about, just before Andrew joined us, we're talking about, you know, this lot. They're potential front three. They're not the biggest. They're not the most mobile. They're not renowned for a great touch. Their statistics aren't that great. Now, there is, of course, it's the most Swindon-y thing to then go and get gubbed 5-0 at home by them. But that's not going to happen today, is it? That's not going to happen.
No, not at all. I mean, we had the same conversation at the Gillingham game. But, look, it's Swindon. Anything can happen. We've got a guess, Hannahs.
We've got a guess.
Andy Gibson has guessed Lawrence Vigouroux with a rather questionable spelling.
By his own admission, though.
Yeah.
By his own admission, Andy. I've got a lot of respect for that.
But it's the correct answer.
Hey! Congratulations, Norfolk Robin. Andy Gibson, you have won the hoodie, pal. Flash us over a postal address and your size requirements, Andy, and we will get you your hoodie sorted out. Also, let us know who you'd like on your print. Take a little look through Dan Design's website. Big sale on Dan Design's website today, guys, to celebrate. And the reason for that, of course, Dan Designs is a Doncaster local, and but nonetheless is a Swindon Town fan. So how about that? A converted Doncaster Swindon Town fan, and Dan is celebrating the Doncaster Swindon game quite close to his heart. He's celebrating that by giving you, I think it's 30% off, possibly 40%, but I think it's 30 off his website today.
Yeah.
So
and I
get
did
involved.
see the calendars in the. I had a little look in the club shop. I think they're on sale for £5 for a signed calendar.
Signed by Charlie Austin, John Trollope, and Don Rogers for a £5.
Bargain.
Fill your boots, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a
Fill
posh
your
coffee.
boots. I'm not being funny. A £5 for a Dan Designs calendar. You take that. You even if you're going to take it and chop the images out of it. We're only in February, for goodness sake, Ellis. We're in February. A £5, we're giving them away. Anyway, by the by, Andy Gibson, get onto Dan Design's website, work out what print you'd like, mate, and send us a DM. Look, Ellis, I think our work here is done, and the burger is cooling, as is the second half of my pint. Anything you want to say to the listeners? It would seem like quite a lot of people have taken our plea on board to get their backsides down the county ground.
Yeah.
Legends Lounge is packed.
It is. One thing I would say is strap in. I think we're in for a big game today. I think it's an important game. I think this will sort of where the result of this game will probably determine where we're heading for the rest of the season. I'd hope we're going to see some of Morris's tactics sort of put on the team, and sort of, you know, he's had 3 weeks in the role now, so you'd like to think that he's had the opportunity to have an impact. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good game today.
So for me today, it's all about, we mentioned it earlier, that I don't want to make it a cliche, but Jody said possession with purpose. I want to see a little bit of that today. I want to see us command the ball.
Yeah.
I don't need to see us in the 70% possession stakes, but I just want to see us like up there in the high 50s. I want to see lots of shots on target. I want to see us getting into lots of threatening positions, and I want to see us play with a bit of controlled aggression. Fingers crossed we don't get any silly cards. Don't want any early yellows. We certainly don't want any reds.
No.
But if we can navigate through that mire, I stand by my prediction that today should be one of those games where we're coming away from the county ground with a big smile on our face and a handsome 4-0 win. But listen, to you, dear listener, thank you so much for tuning in to us on a Saturday. We know that you're spoiled for choice with your Swindon Town content these days. It's brilliant that you choose to tune in to us on a Saturday. Andrew and Sean and the guys from the BBC are going to be live in 19 minutes. So just enough time for you to get yourself off down the off licence, get your 6-pack of Guinness, get the kettle on, brush your dog, feed the cat, get the car through the car wash, whatever you need to do on your Saturday before, if you're not getting to the county ground, settling down and enjoying Swindon Town 4, Doncaster Rovers 0.
You've heard it here first.
You've heard it here first. That was Ellis Holloway. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Gleefully supported by both Archer and Louis. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Come on, you Reds. 3 points in the bag. We'll see you at full time, all being well.